The quiet problem with most AI tools. Nothing broke. There was no backlash, no warning, no moment where people said, "This feels wrong." But something subtle changed, and most people didn't notice it happening. That's the problem. Most problems with technology are loud. They slow things down, they crash, they cost money. This one does none of that. Everything still works. In some ways, it works better than before, which makes it easy to miss what's quietly being traded away. Think about how people now get answers, not search results, not sources, just answers. Clean, confident, well-written, delivered instantly, without friction. It feels like progress, and in many ways it is. This applies to AI search tools and AI copilots. Systems designed to sit between you and information and decide what matters before you ever see it. They don't just retrieve information, they interpret it for you. That distinction is important. To be clear, these tools are useful. They save time. They reduce overwhelm. They summarize complex topics better than most people could. They remove friction from thinking. And that's exactly why they're so appealing. The issue isn't accuracy, it's compression. When information is consistently filtered, summarized, and prioritized for you, something subtle happens. You stop seeing the edges of an argument, the uncertainty, the conflicting perspectives. Not because they're hidden intentionally, but because they don't survive compression very well. You get the conclusion without the tension that produced it. At first, nothing changes. You still read, you still learn, you still feel informed. But over time, behaviors adapts to the tool. When answers arrive already organized, you stop organizing them yourself. When conclusions are confidently presented, you stop challenging them. Not consciously, gradually. You notice it when you try to explain something and realize you remember what you believe, but not why. The reasoning happened somewhere else. And because the reasoning was outsourced, it never fully integrated. This doesn't make people less intelligent. It makes them more dependent on finished outputs. When you read raw information, you're forced to interpret. You notice contradictions. You weigh credibility. You sit with ambiguity. When an AI does that synthesis for you every time, your role changes. You become a consumer of conclusions instead of a participant in reasoning. That's efficient. But over time, it changes how you think. Here's the unsettling part. The more helpful these tools become, the harder it is to notice what's missing. Because nothing feels wrong. You're informed, you're up to date, you have answers. But your tolerance for uncertainty quietly drops. And uncertainty is where real understanding usually starts. This isn't a problem you feel immediately. It doesn't show up as confusion. It shows up as confidence. Confidence that hasn't been tested. And because the tools are usually right, the habit reinforces itself. You stop asking how you know something. You just know it. This isn't about rejecting AI tools. They're not going away, and they shouldn't. It's about noticing the trade. Convenience for friction. Speed for depth. Answers for process. Every tool makes a trade like this. The quiet ones are just harder to spot. There's a difference between knowing something and understanding it. Knowing is being able to repeat an answer. Understanding is being able to explain how someone could reasonably disagree. Most AI answer tools optimize for knowing. They give you the most likely correct response, cleanly packaged. But understanding lives in the messy middle, the failed arguments, the half-right explanations, the unresolved questions. When those are removed, learning feels faster, but it's thinner. You move forward with confidence that hasn't been stress-tested. Again, nothing breaks, but something flattens. AI tools that give answers aren't dangerous, but they are influential. Not because of what they tell you, but because of what they quietly stop asking you to do. Think. That's the part most people don't notice.